one of the things I know for sure is we can become uninspired with what we're doing on a daily basis if we don't take time away from the business. So, working on your life as much as you work on your business, and that means keeping yourself fresh, keeping yourself refreshed, and also keeping yourself developed in terms of your mindset around what you're doing.
Hello, Profit First entrepreneurs and thought leaders. I am so excited. We have a special guest with us today, and her name is Camille Walker. Now, Camille is a very special and brilliant woman. This woman is an attorney, a life and business strategist, as well as a trainer. And what Camille does is she helps savvy midlife professionals really discover how to turn what they already know and really turn it into these high profile businesses that add additional streams of revenue to their already existing businesses. Now, what this allows you to do, entrepreneurs, it allows you to work less while earning more and still have that freedom, right? We all want freedom. And like I said, Camille's background, she's an experienced attorney and she's got over 20 years of experience as an attorney. And she's been practicing law. And while she was practicing law, she realized that her creative brilliance was really related to being able to help people discover their greatness and monetize their brilliance. Please join me in welcoming Camille Walker to our platform. Hi, Camille. How are you?
I am doing great, Suzanne. It's great to be here. Thank you
Well,
for
we're
having me.
yes, and we're excited to have you and really be able to go in there and just get those juicy morsels in your head to make our businesses better.
I love that.
And today, what we're going to talk about is releasing your inner blocks to success.
Mm. That's a big one. I tell you, we all have them. We're just sometimes not aware of them because they can become blind spots, right?
Oh,
Um,
yes. So,
yeah.
Camille, how did you discover this? How did you get into this work and this business?
Well, I mean, Suzanne, I grew up the product of a family of entrepreneurs. My father, his brothers, his sisters. And so as a child, I'm around problem solving all the time. So those conversations, I could always hear it and I had this strategic mind. In other words, I could pinpoint where the problem was and offer these various solutions. So I sort of intuitively did that growing up. And so, of course, going to law school, you're trained to think that way alternatively. And so it just became a part of me. So when lawyers come to me with problems in their practice or their business, I'd ask a few questions and I call it really discover the root causes of things. And all of a sudden, I realized a lot of the problems that we think are the problems are not necessarily the problems. And there lies the inner block. So when you think about that, like a problem like sales, most people will say, I have a problem with sales. Well, do you have a problem with sales? And let's find out what the root cause is. So if it involves you or it involves a team of people, it may be that you have someone on the team that perhaps is not geared toward or that's not their brilliance. So if we transition them into their brilliance and move someone else on the team, all of a sudden you'll see sales will increase, right? So really it's all about finding the causation of why things aren't working. And when we find the causation, sometimes it is inner blocks related to beliefs, or it could be related to performance. And even if it's related to performance, it's really all about why isn't the person performing at the level that you've expected. So once again, going to the causation, sometimes we're able to provide those solutions and rehabilitate. And when we do that, then we can continue to move in a way that improves performance and then your productivity increases, which again is all about sales and the bottom line, which is income. Does that make sense?
It does. It really does. That definitely is important. Being able to sell, right? That's the lifeblood of your business. One of the things that I think that happens with entrepreneurs is, we have hearts, right? We have hearts and we want to do the good thing and we want to do good by our employees and we want to do good by our customers and we want to do good by everybody. And sometimes doing good, like you said, if you have someone that's not performing well on the sales team, right? they may not have another place in this organization, right? They may not have a place that we can use their brilliance, right? And sometimes that stops us from being able to really execute the right decision, which is in this case, removing them. Um, Camille, can you think of some things that we could do to kind of get over those humps where
Sure.
you know the right thing that needs to be done and you've identified the root cause, but it's just not quite happening?
Well, and there's two sides to every coin, right? So it's really a disservice to the individual as well to keep them in that position. And so, in thinking about what's best for you as a heart centered entrepreneur, you're also thinking about what's best for the employee. So, by releasing the employee and allowing them to go find where they are best suited, you're actually providing them service and providing your company a service. So it's not one or the other. I think we tend to think of it that way, but a person who's not well suited is probably frustrated, right? Could be overwhelmed and could be really struggling and hoping that you'll give them the opportunity to be released. And sometimes that works well because I've heard people talk about, when I got fired or when I was let go, it was that turning point for me. And it was the opportunity, right, to really figure out why did that happen and win or learn from that, which is going to the next opportunity. They're going to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Because it's really difficult for the employee to also walk away from the employer, right? So you're really giving them permission to go and find their rightful place. And you're giving your organization an opportunity to make corrective action sooner rather than later. What I see is managers will hang on because it's more difficult to let someone go because you're thinking, it's the inner block of you're thinking that you're doing them a disservice when really you're doing them a favor, which will provide them a better opportunity in the long run.
That's amazing. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
I think pain is our teacher sometimes, and we don't realize that. It's not necessarily anything that you want to bring on to anybody, but at the same time, it's a win win for the organization and it's a win win for the employee long term.
I love that.
And
I
when you
love that.
can't do it, Suzanne, that's why people like me go in and make recommendations and also help managers see in a different way. And so I like providing that from an objective standpoint. And then that removes the heart. I mean, you're still the heart centered employer. It's not that you're not, but you get to see both sides of the coin that you're doing the right thing. It may feel painful at the time.
I love that. That's absolutely right. So you got that proper first entrepreneur. Set them free. Set them free if they're not in their zone of genius. Set them free. Definitely
And it's not
important.
always set them free, it could be rehabilitate. So perhaps there needs to be more training, or perhaps the person needs counseling in some way. Unfortunately, we're human beings, right? And so life comes at us as well. And so you never know what's going on in their personal life. So sometimes it's a matter of rehabilitation. And if that's needed, then again, you're providing that service that you need to empower the employee to be the best version of themselves because they want to show up for you. And a lot of times they're struggling to understand how to do both.
I love that. So what do you find as the biggest roadblock for entrepreneurs in terms of being able to dig to find that root cause?
I think you're too close to the action. You kind of have your blinders on. You see things every day and it can become really routine. And so when you don't have a fresh set of eyes on your business, then you can get tunnel vision and not realize it. And that's where the blind spots are. So by having a person who has no vested interest necessarily and can come in and provide that new, fresh set of eyes, one that's strategic and analytical, I think it really provides a service that you want ongoing. And a lot of times it brings fresh new ideas that you hadn't thought about. So those aha moments where maybe there is a better opportunity or a better way or more efficient way to actually do the job and go further faster. So that's the beauty in having a new fresh set of eyes on your business. And I highly recommend that at all times. Roundtables, masterminds are good ways to do that, but also just having someone in your organization that you have to go to for that specific purpose that you trust, obviously.
I love that. That's really great. And in terms of being able to have tips for our entrepreneurs in order to be able to really hone in on really just releasing their inner blocks and be able to release the things that's holding them back, what tips would you have for them to do this?
Well, the first thing is to work on yourself as much as you work on your business. One of the things I know for sure is we can become uninspired with what we're doing on a daily basis if we don't take time away from the business. So, working on your life as much as you work on your business, and that means keeping yourself fresh, keeping yourself refreshed, and also keeping yourself developed in terms of your mindset around what you're doing. Those skill sets are just as important as the hard skills that you will do in terms of, for me, it was continuing education, or it is continuing education now. And then the second tip I would have is to be open and flexible to new ideas. So always keeping your eyes and ears open for those opportunities that perhaps look different. And sometimes they come in disguise. I love Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, where he talks about sometimes opportunities come in disguise. So there are opportunities out there around you that perhaps you're just not seeing. And the last tip is, of course, have fun. I mean, I know at this level, things are really, really serious, but if there's not some celebration of your successes, and I mean many celebrations, not necessarily waiting until the income statement or the balance sheet, but always having those opportunities to celebrate successes along the way keeps you energized toward it's not just the prize, that it's the process along the way.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely important to enjoy the journey, right? Because that's our life, right? Our life
It
is all
is.
about the journey, right? If you don't
It
enjoy
is.
the journey, then it's not a happy life. So you
Right.
definitely want to do that. That is wonderful advice, Camille. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely. And I love what you said just about Napoleon Hill too, about being open to the opportunities, right? Being open to the possibilities of things happening. I think about my own life. 3 years ago, I did this vision board, and it wasn't really a real vision board. I just kind of, I was working with a coach, and she had asked me. She goes, "You know what? Write down the things that you want to do in your life. Write down the things that you want to do in your life." And, they were things that were so far off that I didn't think was possible to happen. It was things like, I wanted to make so much in dollars. I wanted to really support a charity where I was sending girls to school. And I had no idea of how I was going to do it. It was just things that I wanted to do, right? Things that I
Yeah.
want to do. And it's interesting because, 3 years later, they say you underestimate what you'll accomplish in a year and you'll overestimate what you do in 5. And I was looking back at this piece of paper about all the things that I wanted to do, and I was like, "Man, all these things have started to come true." And you're right, it's just being open to the possibility, looking for the opportunities and starting to identify what you want too, right? And identifying what you want to make those things happen is really part of just that power of, and I thought it was like taboo and like spooky stuff, but manifesting, just manifesting the things that you want, you'd be surprised just how interesting this universe is and creating those possibilities for you.
It is so true. And knowing what you want is very important, and enjoying the journey while you're attaining what you want. Because obviously it never stops. I think, we can underestimate, you're right, what we are able to do. And even being here today, I never set out to actually become a consultant and do the strategic work and work in the spaces that I get to work in. I really didn't realize it was a skill set that could be monetized until after about the 10th or 20th person that comes to you for the same thing. Again, opportunities in disguise, you realize, oh, There's value to that. And so it's really an opportunity to just use things that become natural to me, but it also, I love seeing growth. I love seeing improvement in processes, and I love the fact of the celebrations when people achieve their goals. I mean, that's for entrepreneurs, that's everything. And so it's and thank you so much for having me on the show for that reason.
Oh yeah, definitely. And something else that just kind of comes to my head too is you talked about this term brilliance too, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting because like you'll meet some people and they'll say, "This is my gift. This is my gift." And you're like, "Oh, really? That's your gift. Okay, all right." I'm not buying from that. How do you know what your gift is? How do you find that gift?
Well, I wasn't looking necessarily for the gift, but I did look for how am I wired that is so innately a part of me that serves the world in a big way. And so when I started looking for that, in other words, what you focus on, you'll figure out. So it wasn't me going out saying, this is my gift or that's my gift. It was more or less, so I did some assessments, of course, that were tools. I've done them all probably over time, just because they're fun to realize how much you change over time and how many things you don't see about yourself. And so knowing that I was strategic and knowing that I could pinpoint issues, knowing I could bring solutions and see things that other people didn't readily see, I started observing myself, how I was a part of a team. What did I bring to the team? Why people always came to me with certain questions. And then I kind of went back over my life and my career, and I was able to see, well, that must be something pretty special. Everyone doesn't have that. So
Yeah.
that's how you know where your gifts are. If people are asking you the same questions over and over and over, and they trust your judgment and you see the results, then you know. And I'm talking about a natural brilliance because we all have them. It's just sometimes they're overlooked because you do them readily and they're part of you, and you're not thinking they're anything special.
Wow. So just being aware, being more aware and also being
Mhm.
open to the feedback that others give you and what you're hearing in the universe from the feedback from that standpoint. That
Yeah,
is
definitely.
That is very
Yeah,
interesting because I feel like there's a lot of people just, I mean, I admit I was one of those people, being a numbers person that never really dug that deep. And so it took really just, working with someone like you to really kind of hone in on figuring out exactly where I was supposed to go in this point, because a lot of us just aren't self-aware. A lot of us are so busy and so in the hustle and grind that it's very difficult to have that moment to go back and think about, is this where I'm supposed to be right now?
right.
And what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, reflection is a big part of that. And of course, I'm a big journaler. Early morning, I typically journal what has happened the day before, because you get so busy you forget like some of the wins you've had or some of the opportunities. And so in going back and being reflective, it helps to kind of stop and pause. And I'm not talking about an hour at a time. I'm talking about 10 minutes of just journaling first thing in the morning when I'm fresh, obviously, and not when I'm ready to go to sleep at night. But that really has helped me keep in perspective. And then going back over a week or a month and looking at some of the aha moments or some of the opportunities that have happened and the progress that's been made is really, really helpful. And it keeps you in gratitude when things are tough, because entrepreneurs, we know it can get tough, right? It can get challenging. And in those challenging moments, you really need to remember some of the wins that you've had, and knowing some of the challenges you've had in the past, that those too will pass, right? You got through them and you're going to come over it, right? You're going to get through this. And especially in a time like this, I think right now we're in an environment where there's just so much noise, and I call it noise, that can permeate the challenges that we have as entrepreneurs. And so we really have to be focused on, where am I progressing? What's good about the world today, not what's not good about the world. And so it's really an opportunity to really keep yourself kind of in gratitude every single day.
Definitely, definitely. And if you could leave one piece of advice, Camille, as we wrap up our time together today, one piece of advice, it can be personal, it can be related to the business. What advice would you leave our listeners and our viewers with today?
I would say to enjoy the moment. The moment we're in, we're being very intentional right now in this moment that we have. Take a deep breath and realize it's good to be alive and it's good to be a creator. So, as entrepreneurs, I mean, I really love that. Coming from a family, I think I told you that my father's 84 years old. He's still an entrepreneur. He's probably in his fourth reiteration. So, just taking the time to enjoy the moment and realizing the opportunity we have as creators is special.
I love that. I love that. And that's the great thing about entrepreneurship. You're absolutely right. We create our own journey, we create our own outcome. So that is a beautiful part of entrepreneurship. Now, Camille, how can our viewers and listeners reach out to you to learn more, to be able to work with you? What would be the best way to reach you?
Well, certainly you can reach me at my website at camillewalker.com and also reach out on LinkedIn. I get a lot of inquiries from LinkedIn. Send me a message there. Would love to connect with you. A lot of times it's just a conversation. I call them sometimes breakthrough strategy calls where we really, anything that's going on in your business that you're unsure where the root cause is, or an opportunity to have a fresh set of eyes on your business. I highly advise you to do that. So it's lovely to understand that having that fresh set of eyes is maybe the opportunity you need to move forward and not get stuck.
Well, thank you, Camille, today for spending time with us and sharing your wisdom with us.
Sure. Thank you, Suzanne, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.